of Joffey Joe, and this is the show, Call It How I See It. And on today's episode, I have a couple of teams I want to talk to you all about. First and foremost, we are down to the final two teams. The Super Bowl is coming, and it will be on February 9th, and we have a team that is up for a three-peat, and we have another team that is my beloved Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, the Chiefs and Eagles are going to face off, and I have Carlo Esco and Vinny Talarico in the house, and we're going to recap about how the Eagles got there and what to expect in this matchup. You don't want to miss out on what both these guys have to say. And finally, I have the return of CarlitosWayWorldTV. Yes, me and Carlitos are going to square up, as Carlitos wants to talk about what happened last week in combat sports and also what to expect this weekend coming up. So, you don't want to miss out on this action-packed episode. And look who we have back in the house. It's my man, Vinny T. How you doing, bro?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Doing good. I mean, definitely in good spirits, especially after a nice, glorious victory that we had over this weekend against the Commanders.
It's good to be back in the Super Bowl.
Yes, we are. We're back in the Super Bowl 2 out of 3 years under the Sirianni regime with some new pieces. It seems like we're a fine, well-tuned machine, and, spirits are definitely high in the city of Philadelphia. We all saw the celebrations and everything. Mostly good, some bad, but, that's just Philly, and that's just how we go down. But, man,
yeah, one was real bad, but yeah.
Yeah, I even saw some new stuff where the one kid, the 18-year-old, fell off the post.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking.
Yeah, that was bad. I mean, we saw the motor incident with the lady running over almost like 30 people. I know one person passed away from that situation. People doing backflips, people not catching them. A lot of weird shit going on. But, that's how we get down and that's how we celebrate. So, hopefully, we can celebrate during the parade. But I want to recap our season, Vin, and I think you're the perfect guy to do it for us. So,
appreciate that.
Absolutely. So, since you're back on the show, I just want to, throw some things, and I want to hear what you felt of the Eagles' season in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, we can go all the way back to when we first talked about our season preview. We said, the expectation should be 13 or 14 wins and an appearance in a conference championship, and that's what they did. And going all the way back to week 1 to where they are now, I mean, they look so much. I don't know what the word really to describe it is, but they've definitely, especially Nick, he definitely matured as the season got on. Everything for them changed at the bye week, or even it changed in the Saints game. They were looking at they were staring down the barrel like at 1-2.
Yes.
Saquon Barkley and Jalen Carter saved the season for them, in my opinion. It's that particular time.
Yeah.
Because if you lose the Tampa game and you fall to 1-3 that they would have been instead of 2-2, going into the bye, that would have been it. I mean, there could have been talks of Sirianni getting fired if they lost that Tampa game and the Saints game. And now, ironically, they get a chance to win the Super Bowl in that same stadium where they kind of turned everything around. And with seeing Jalen start the season, they tried, I think, to make him more of a pocket passer early with Kellen Moore's new offense.
Right.
And then once they realized that Saquon is not only still a really good running back, he's the best running back in the league.
Yeah,
Let's just run the offense through him and turn Jalen Hurts into, if you want to call it a game manager, that's fine. It's winning football. They had a 10-game win streak. They beat teams like Baltimore and Cincinnati on the road. They beat a good Pittsburgh team at home. Mm-hmm. They dominated their division. You can talk about the loss to Washington in the regular season. That got neutralized in the NFC Championship game because they had Jalen Hurts in that game.
Right.
They had Chauncey Gardner-Johnson for the entire second half of that game. He got ejected in the second game of the regular season. They went into L.A. on a Sunday night and dominated them by almost 20 points, and the Rams had a garbage time touchdown in that game.
Right.
They've been blowing teams out for the majority of the season. The defense, if they complete the Super Bowl run and they win it, you can talk about them as an all-time defense. Yeah. The 4 quarterbacks that, if they do win, you're beating Jordan Love, you're beating Matt Stafford, a rookie Jaden Daniels, who the best rookie quarterback season we've seen, and then Pat Mahomes. That'd be one hell of a run for them to pull it off. And what I've seen all season, there's no reason to believe that they can't win this game. And, they're the underdogs. That's fine by me. No matter what the Eagles do, no matter how they win their games, no matter how many games they win, if it's Jalen, if it's Saquon, there's always a narrative to just kind of not give them all the respect that they deserve. And I think on Super Bowl Sunday, they're going to put all that to bed. And I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I think it's a good matchup for them on both sides of the ball. I really do.
No, for sure. I definitely do think that as well. I mean, where we've seen our team progress in terms of offense, like you said, with Kellen Moore and everything, they definitely had Saquon do his thing. And then, certain games and certain matchups, they have, Jalen throw the ball, against the Cincinnati Bengals, where he went loose and showed he could throw the ball. Or even, later on in the season, he showed he could throw the ball. It was really interesting to see how things broke down over time. But like you said, Sirianni, I think, deserves a lot of credit. I mean, all of us here in the area gave him a bunch of shit. But, I mean, honestly, he really matured, and he really became, a really good CEO type of coach here. But he implemented game plans, and then we went on a winning streak, dude. We went on a fucking tear. Like you said, that Saints game was huge. That really ignited something there. And then after the bye week, going from the Browns and everything, and just going on that 11-game win streak. It was really something to watch, and we beat good teams along the way. Like you said, we beat the Steelers, we beat the whole AFC North, which was the best division of football last year, beating the Rams in their house. It's just like we really came together, and like that narrative that we had like 2 years ago, where we didn't beat anybody good. Like we did that along the way, and we really took care of business the way we should have.
That's a good point too.
Yeah, so like I don't want to hear that bullshit narrative. But like this team is definitely different than the other team that we have, and even coming into the playoffs, we saw what happened. Our defense has been solid. It's been keeping us in games, especially when our offense at times like could look a little absent, but then they would show up. But like the defense definitely held us down. I mean, like a lot of us in this area would definitely agree that this might be one of the best defenses we've ever seen, including to like the heights of like the 1991 defense. But it's really crazy to see where things are, and I'm really happy. I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the Super Bowl. I like our matchup with them. I'm not afraid of them. I know we played them last year, and it came down to a last-second drop by their Valdez-Scantling, but it also started like the big tear where we went downhill.
Yeah, that was kind of when everything went downhill last year, and then I think even like seeing where they. I mean, you want to talk about going all the way back to then, like where they've grown from then. Like Nick as a coach, as you said, and I think what helps him a lot more too is, looking at what Kellen Moore's done as a coordinator in the NFL, and what Fangio's done as a coordinator in the NFL. Like I think that just made Nick's job a little easier this year. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But he's matured himself. So like he had an interview this week where he talked about he wrote down a lot of things that he wished he could redo in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And, having that maturity and like, if they're put back in, like, a similar situation, like, if the 4th and 1 in midfield, he's not going to punt this time. He's going to go for it.
He's going to go for it.
100% he's going to go for it. And, just the adjustments that their defense would make. If the Chiefs try to run the orbit motion play on 4th and goal to Sky Moore, it's not going to happen twice like it did with Jonathan Gannon.
Right.
It's not.
No.
And the only thing that I guess I'm afraid of in the game is the referees, but that's, like, a weak mentality to even bring into the game because, in the end, you have to play a 60-minute football game.
Right.
And if you're going to let one play derail the entire 60 minutes, that's a bad way of looking at it. Even though the last time the Eagles did play them in the Super Bowl, there was only one defensive penalty called in the entire game. And it happened to be on the last offensive play of the game when Pat Mahomes throws it out of the end zone. We all know what happened there.
I wasn't even, the more I watched that play too, that ball didn't even look catchable, honestly.
No, it went out of the back of the end zone. And Smith-Schuster, I mean, he didn't even have to sell it. I just kind of felt like there was just enough of a hold where maybe, and if Pat Mahomes is pulling for a flag, 9 out of 10 times he's going to get it.
I know.
But what was encouraging against Houston, he tried to flop out of bounds. So like he put his arms up, he kind of ran to the sidelines, and he runs really slow to the sidelines and lets up and like waits for the defender to hit him.
Yeah,
he's flopping. The referee didn't give him the flag.
Yeah, he tries to bait you.
I'm hoping that our defense can kind of have that similar game plan that Tampa Bay had against them a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Where they were just swarming him. And Kansas City's offense then is better than it was now. They had Tyreek Hill in that game. And, I think, the biggest problem for Kansas City that year, too, their offensive line was really bad. But they didn't have Creed Humphrey in that game. He was a hell of a center. If you look at the offensive and defensive lines of both of these teams, it's great matchups on both sides.
Yeah.
Andy Reid, as we know as Eagles fans, he loves to build his team in the trenches.
Yeah.
And so is Howie Roseman in the last couple of years. Like what he's done in the last 4 drafts on the offense and defensive line alone is a big reason why the Eagles are back in the Super Bowl.
No, for sure. Even like this past week, we were missing. Excuse me, I'm having a big break.
Jurgens.
Yes, Jurgens was missing for like half the game. Like Landon Dickerson was beat up too, but them interchanging at halftime, that was really big. But you see these other guys step up. You see Steen playing left guard and taking the reins. You see Mekhi Becton holding it down on the right guard. So like these guys know where they need to be, and then like in terms of pulling and everything, they know where to go. So like
and I felt that them having Cam active as a backup was a really smart move because what if he was inactive and Landon for whatever reason couldn't go out there like in the second half, and then Steen's playing. I guess Steen would have been your guard. Right. And I don't even know who they put as a third center. If Jurgens is inactive and Landon just can't, and maybe they would put. I have no idea who their third center is.
Someone would have had a lineup. But it didn't get to that point.
Well, probably if Cam was inactive, then maybe they would have called up Trevor Keegan, and maybe he would have figured out a way to like play on the interior. But he has to play all season, so that could have been a disaster.
Yeah, it could have been. But things worked out pretty well there. Even like we saw Landon Dickerson getting beat up to the point where we say I have to see Cam Jurgens come in the game. But other than I think like 2 plays, he did a solid job, and I know he's still nicked up.
Great. Mm-hmm.
But with this bye week and everything now, we have time to rest up. You can get 100%, get healthy. Jalen's knee can get better in shape too. And, coming into the Super Bowl, I think we're going to be a lot healthier. Excuse me. And I like this matchup. I do. We keep seeing Kansas City weaseling out a win and just, squeaking by. The Kansas City teams that we're more familiar with that started this dynasty, they were winning, dominantly.
Blowing teams out, yep.
Yeah, they were dominating teams hands down. But now, from what we see in this scope and lens during this 3rd year of them trying to have a three-peat, you just see them squeaking by, and they barely squeaked by again last week. But they beat the Texans pretty soundly, but not overly convincing too. Where the point where they dominated that game. So if they win, it's gonna have to be a close game. But it's if we win, it's gonna be a dominating factor where we show.
I think so too.
We show our emphasis on both sides of the ball where they can't stop us. And I just want to expose them, honestly, Vin. I just want to make them look what they really are.
And a lot of people talk about how they haven't given up like a 100-yard rusher in 18 games, but in 2 playoff games, they've given up almost 300 yards on the ground.
Right.
I mean, and if you go look at the Eagles' running attack in the Super Bowl when they lost, outside of what Jalen did, Sanders and Gainwell and Boston Scott didn't do anything in that game. They were terrible.
No.
And now we got an all-time back in Saquon. Our offensive line this year is better than what it was in 2022. If you look at both teams from the last time they played in the Super Bowl, the Eagles are significantly better in almost every position on defense.
Right.
Coaching, at running back, a more mature quarterback, a more mature head coach. Kansas City's still great, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But like you said, this year, how they're winning games, to an extent, it's kind of like what the Eagles were last year. Obviously, the Eagles didn't get to the Super Bowl last year, but we saw firsthand when you win a lot of games in ugly fashion and close fashion, eventually, all it takes is one game. You play the wrong team that's red hot, and they put a beating on you. And the 49ers put a beating on the Eagles, and that kind of set the wheels in motion for us to collapse.
Yeah.
I'm not saying a Super Bowl loss is going to send the Chiefs off the rails here, but I could definitely see a scenario where our defense just gets after it from the jump. Saquon has a big first half, and the Eagles cruise to like a 10 or 14-point victory. That's how I see it happening. I really do.
And that's what we have to do this time, too. I mean, like, we remember from last Super Bowl's halftime, we were up 10 points, and we were able to control the lead that we should have controlled in a better light. But like you said, having Saquon's a big factor here. I mean, like, yes, Kansas City's good against the run. I've heard Colin Cowherd say all this stuff about, the Eagles aren't going to do nothing or whatever. Mind you all that, I mean, he's having a special season. He's a special player, and then with his line and everything, we all know what he's capable of. So, I mean, I haven't seen anybody like him at all this year. So, I don't think they really understand what they're really, going up against here. I mean,
I don't even. And as far as like the people like in Colin Cowherd and like all the other people like on Fox Sports 1, I just kind of like it feels like all their narratives about the Eagles all season. It's just kind of like them like copycatting all their takes. It's like Jalen's a system quarterback. If he plays a great game, well, it's only one great game all season, and it's from I don't want to say Chase Daniel for example. Yeah. He talked about how 2-3 weeks ago, even though Jalen Hurts he won against the Packers, it really didn't matter because he had a bad performance. And then in the NFC Championship game, he's out here talking on the other side of his mouth saying, well, I never doubted him as a winner because that's all he does. It's like they always find a narrative to like kind of go with what they want to make it.
Yes.
And I feel like Jalen has been on that side for like his whole career, going back to when he got benched at Bama, when he got drafted, how at the end of 2021 when they lost to the Buccaneers in the wild card game, like he didn't look good in that game. He looked horrible.
Right. And
then in the Super Bowl, he played a great game. He, in my opinion, he played better than Mahomes did.
No, he had the best game of his career, I think.
Yeah, and then last year, everybody knows what happens with that team last year. There was just, they just completely fell apart. It didn't feel like that they were a real complete team at the end of last year. They were kind of still off of the Super Bowl high and just kind of feeling like, well, we're coming off of a Super Bowl loss. It takes 1 or 2 losses and we'll bounce back. And they never bounced back. They revamped everything in the offseason. And you got to give credit to Howie. This is his 3rd Super Bowl roster he's built in 7 years.
I know.
That's really hard to do.
It is. It really is. I mean, even if we look at the grand scheme of things, too, like since the year 2000, we've been to the NFC Championship game 8 times. Like we've become like a real solid organization under Jeffrey Lurie and how he's letting Howie Roseman run things. Like we just, from the cap rooms, the off-season situations that he's able to handle and contracts and everything and building and constructing a team the way this is. Every year, it's almost like every year people are giving praise to Howie. Even like what happened last year or even like, it's just he tries his best and does his best to construct the best team moving forward and give it everything going on around him. And it's just like it's great to have a GM like that. I wish the Sixers did, but
Yeah, the Sixers. I'm totally out of the Sixers. I could care less about them. But I mean,
yeah.
And what's also, and if you look at the Eagles too, like we both agree that they're going to win this game. And every year you get more money in the salary cap because money always goes up in the NFL. That's going to attract better players to want to go play there.
Right.
Because Saquon Barkley talked about how Houston offered him more money.
Right.
When Houston going into this season was a Super Bowl favorite, a lot of people thought that C.J. Stroud was going to take that huge leap this year. He had a good season, but I don't think he took the leap that people thought he would take. I think maybe the jump in talent that C.J. Stroud had was not as big as was anticipated.
Right.
And they have guys like Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins and Tank Dell and DeMeco Ryans as a coach that a lot of people would love to play for.
Right.
And considering where the Eagles ended last year, for Saquon to go there, I mean, you're going to see maybe if they win the Super Bowl this year, which again, I think they will.
They will.
I think they're going to be an attractive team for people to want to go play for because of the culture that they're building. And, who doesn't want to go compete and win Super Bowls on a team that has all that talent? Exactly. So, and the way that they're drafting the last 4 years, they've killed it. And, if Howie Roseman can pull like another rabbit out of the hat, call Abdul Carter and just tell him the tank is pro day, that would just be the icing on the cake for me because I think he's the best player in the draft. The Eagles have no chance of getting him.
Yeah.
But, I mean, looking at their roster for next year, let's just kind of look into the future a little bit. I mean, where's their big weakness? If you bring back Bond and Becton and Williams, which I think they will do, like there's not a whole lot of holes on this team for the next 3 to 5 years.
No.
And that's what gets me excited is because after they won the Super Bowl in 2017, they had a hard time with drafting good players and plugging them into starters, and then they had to go to free agency to bring guys back like Sean Jackson and Jason Peters and kicking the tires on those guys.
Right.
And then after 2022, they lost a valuable player in C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I thought he brought a big attitude to that locker room and to that defense.
He did.
And now that he's back, I think that's going to make all the difference.
No,
he played in the Super Bowl the last time they played. Yeah, and just the other upgrades that they're going to have in this game that they didn't have in 2022. Like having Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell out there is huge.
It is.
Having Jahan Dotson out there and not Quez Watkins is huge.
Yeah,
and then above everything else is just having Saquon and not having to rely on Gainwell and Sanders and Scott to give you the production of Barkley, and they couldn't give you a third of this production.
No, I agree 1,000% with that. Even even last week we had Will Shipley step up and have a huge game. Doing small parts in special teams, or even just having a big carry at the end of the game. Just like
and
other guys
Burks
contributing. And Burks too. Like Oren Burks has been filling in great. And actually, I mean, like since he was in a situation last year with being on the 49ers and stepping in and trying to have recover Travis Kelce, he gets another redemption at this too. So like I'm sure things won't break down where he's having to man him all the time, but he has that opportunity to step up and actually make the play against him. I'm sure he's going to be ready to do it this time.
I think he will too, because I think if you look at Vic Fangio and just the position he puts his guys in, like I've said to friends, I think the biggest weapon that they have outside of Saquon is Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
Just he was right about a lot of things in the offseason, whether it was a player being good or not being good. He was right about Devin White. He was right about Bryce Huff.
Yeah.
He was right about Jalen Hunt. He was right about Nolan Smith and Nakobe Dean and Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Yes.
I mean, there's a reason all those guys got a lot of reps in the offseason over Devin White, who they signed to be a starter, and Bryce Huff got paid $10 million a year to come in and be a top edge rusher, and he got beat out by a 6th-round rookie.
I know.
And seeing Quinyon and Cooper DeJean just being able to step in from day one, whether it's Mitchell in week 1 or Cooper coming in because he got injured in training camp,
right.
Those two have been spectacular, man. And just coaching and just the way they tackle. Like, I haven't seen the Eagles defense, especially the secondary, wrap up and tackle and not just go for a big hit and just have a guy bounce off you. Like the tackle that Cooper DeJean had on Derrick Henry is like textbook football. And I can't tell you the last time I saw an Eagles player make a tackle like that, probably since like Brian Dawkins or Sheldon Brown.
I know it was a big impactful. And then you looked at who he tackled and everything. That was a big play by Coop. I mean, everything is just really falling into place really wonderfully here, and I believe in this team a lot, and I've been believing in them all year, and then now to get to this point where we are, we just got to finish the job, and I think we will. Then
I think they will too, man. I mean, this has just kind of been. It feels this season as great as talk about all the vibes and like how comparable it is to 2022.
Yeah,
I think it's more comparable to 2017. You just see like the guys, they just seem like they have so much more fun out there. They're more loose. And Sirianni, you kind of alluded to him being like a CEO coach.
Right.
I mean, maybe that's how he started the season, but now he's definitely fallen into that like kind of like a player's coach.
Oh no,
the guys just genuinely love to play for him. Like Jason Kelce talks about it all the time. Like all the coaches he's played for, like there's not a coach that does a better job in meetings than Nick Sirianni. No. And he's played for Andy Reid and Doug Peterson.
Right.
He won a Super Bowl with Doug. Andy drafted him, and Andy, at the end of his tenure, he wasn't great.
Right.
So Kelce really didn't get to see the best of Andy in Philadelphia.
Right.
But I mean, you're still comparing him to a Hall of Fame coach, a Super Bowl winning coach, and then you're saying he's the best at what he does in terms of meetings and being able to connect with players, and that matters, man. It really does.
It does. Like we saw the message he left for Slay, or just like other stuff, or he wearing T-shirts for the guys. He connects with these players, and you can tell that these guys really love him. I mean, they really do. They're not. This whole narrative that the media is trying to create, that there's a public stir, controversy in the locker room.
Yeah, everything started like when AJ Brown made that comment against after the Panthers game, where all he said was the offense has to do a better job at passing.
Right,
and then the national media, the local media, they try to make it like a Donovan T.O. situation between him and Jalen for no reason. Right. But that's what the media does, man. They get paid to drive controversy in all aspects of media, sports, politics, you name it. It's like part of the game.
I know. So, it comes with it's nature of the beast.
Yeah,
but Ben,
exactly.
I need to know, what do you think the score is going to be?
Well, if it's going to be a defensive dominant performance, like I think it's going to be, and I do think the Eagles offense is going to be able to get theirs too. I would say 35-21.
Okay,
Eagles.
I like that score.
And then MVP, I would say Saquon's just going to, it's been his season. I think he's going to cap off the greatest season that a back's ever had.
Yes.
And I believe he's only like 20 yards away from breaking Terrell Davis's record for regular season and postseason. Mm-hmm. And I think the year that Terrell Davis did that, I think the Broncos won the Super Bowl and he had 3 touchdowns in that game.
He did. He bowled out.
And they did it against the defending champions like the Eagles are doing. So
let's do it, man.
Everything just kind of falls into place, and I think the Eagles are going to win it, bro. I can't wait.
I hope so too, man. But I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you, doing this recap with me for the season, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. We should definitely do some more like after the season, like draft stuff and free agency, and get to do it all again next year as defending Super Bowl champs. So I look forward to it.
We will, and I hope to see you at the parade, Vinny.
I hope so too, man. I'm going to try to get off work. I'm going to pray if I can. But if not, you got to go for me, and you got to hold it down for me, bro.
I certainly will. But all right, man. Thank you. And we're back, yes, after a great conference championship round where our team and another team that we don't like finally make it to the Super Bowl. We are where we are, and welcome back, JC. I'm glad to have you on. How do you feel about where we're at?
Feel great. It was a great weekend for me.
I agree. I mean, for everybody involved in the whole area, I think it was a great weekend. Definitely still in high spirits. I was at the Sixers game yesterday. The city is still very electric, and still a lot more cleaning to do in that parking lot. But nonetheless, still great spirits. Mind all the other stuff that might have happened that made it not look so great after the celebration. But mind you, still in great spirits, and I'm really glad where we are. I'm really pumped about it. I'm ready and excited for the rematch that you called last week, and I have to give you some kudos for that because I actually thought the Bills were going to be able to pull it off, but just like we always see, it's the same old Buffalo, and Patrick Mahomes has Josh Allen's number in the postseason. But mind you that, I want to talk about our game first, and I want to hear what you have to say about it. So what did you think about our game?
Utter domination. I mean, the first drive that Washington had, it was a nice 18-play drive. But I think the fact that we held them to 3 points, it was good.
Right.
But the tone was set first play from scrimmage.
Right.
Tone set. I think after that, like a run like that can demoralize a team. And although Washington hung in there score-wise, I think we were slowly breaking them quarter by quarter.
No, for sure.
But I will say this about the Washington Commanders: they have nothing to hang their head on for this season at all.
No.
They have a great future. They have a future ahead of them. Adam Peters, if he does what he did with the Brock Purdy way in San Fran, they're going to be a problem for us for years to come. They have absolutely nothing to hang their head on. It was a great season by them.
No, and that's a good point too, even to like the Brock Purdy point, because Jane Daniels and his mother, who is his agent, they got the guaranteed money already, so they're already in their bag. Yes, the performance will show over time that they need to garnish more money, but like right now they're in a situation where cap wise they're good. I believe coming into next year they're gonna have a lot of cap room. They become an appealing place to go to. New ownership, it's like breath of fresh air, coaching and everything. What just ran through that season, they're going to be an appealing spot to go to for years and years to come, and they're going to be a thorn in our side for years and years to come. But they weren't able to be the better team when it mattered, at least this year. And honestly, they beat us earlier this year, but it was kind of a fluke win. We didn't have Jalen. We weren't at 100%. You guys are a dirty team. I think you guys need to clean up some things in terms of false starts, initiating penalties, even instigating fights and stuff. I see a dirty team, but maybe over time they're young. They'll clean things up. That's just calling it how I see it. But I thought the Commanders played a little dirty, a little classless. But mind you, like a good team would, they threw out the trash, and that's what we did. So I mean, with the turnovers and everything, it was a great game. I'm really glad we were able to pull it off, and it definitely put things into retrospect of where we are as a team and as a defense too. Like we were able to clamp him down. We shut down Jaden Daniels after he did his little Maricon dance in the freaking end zone. It's really great to see where we are as a team collectively and then where we are now. That's why I really feel good about our team coming into the Super Bowl. Even though, the gambling experts out there in DraftKings and FanDuel all have us as the underdog coming in. But from what I've been seeing, most of the bets have been going our way. I think I saw on the DraftKings board, most of the bets are going our way, like a 55% chance. Most of the bets, 55% are going our way. So we'll see how that number changes. Spread always can change. And I actually think that coming into the other Super Bowl, the line changed a lot too. So we'll see how things develop in that situation.
I also have to give a shout out to a linebacker that I did not want to sign this past offseason.
Who's that?
Warren fucking Burks.
Yes, I've been thinking about you and what you had to say about him. But go ahead.
The last 2 weeks, he's come up huge.
Yes.
4 turnovers, making plays, and I'm over here looking stupid because he's making plays.
He is making good plays, honestly. Like he's a good tackler. He's great in the run defense and everything. So like to see where he's come along, especially in a big spot like this to fill in, and you're not really being in the lineup most of the time of the year. But he's a vet, and even we know him as a special teams player. But like you said, with the 49ers, he stepped in. He stepped in and had to fill in spots last year, and he's been mostly doing that most of his career. Even Zach Bond has been doing that most of his career. But like, in opportunities like this, these guys are making the most of it. And now you see two special teams guys, really taking control and running the number one defense like it's nothing, and it's really a great thing to watch. So definitely a big shout out to Warren Burks here. And now, like you said, JC gets his little rematch with Travis Kelce. So maybe he can show something. I mean, given to with Fangio's defense, it is zone-minded scheme. And there's not going to be a lot of man coverage between the two. But, he can definitely... I definitely think he wants to prove something for what happened last year in the Super Bowl.
No, I want him to have that chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
His play has kind of kept Trotter off the field.
Yes.
But also, he has rose to the occasion. The Dean injury hurts, but his performance over the last couple weeks has made it hurt a little less.
No, for sure. It's not like we don't miss Nakobe Dean, but this has definitely been an affordable, step-up player, a next-man-up role here, and he's definitely taking it and running with it, and I'm really glad to see where Warren Burks is with our team and stuff. Nolan Smith has been playing really good. Our linebacker core has been really good. I'm really happy with where our team is.
Been a weakness over the past, I don't know how many years.
Yeah.
But before this, I don't think we've had a good linebacker since D'Amico Ryans.
I know it's been a minute. But to see the solid, constant play. TJ Edwards was pretty good in our Super Bowl run.
Yeah, he was.
So there's been competent linebackers, but like this group and how our defense is running right now, it's really smooth and it's a great thing to watch, especially with the up front and everything. This whole 3-4 scheme is like a breath of fresh air, and everything. When I was able to see that we were able to contain Jaden Daniels and getting that sack on him, it really showed a lot. And hopefully this time around, with us dealing with Patrick Mahomes and everything, like we're able to actually grab him and get him down to the ground. Buffalo looked like they were doing pretty well with that, and they were able to contain him. But then there's some plays where they had him running out a little bit, and then designed some special plays for him to look good and throw the ball and get rid of it in time too, which ended up with them winning the game. So speaking of that, what did you think about that conference game?
Man, I don't know even what to say about Buffalo right now. It sucks.
Yeah, it does.
But
it's almost like this is like almost a worse situation than it was when they were going to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row, because you're losing to the same team over and over again. It's almost a bigger stab in the wound there.
The comparison I've been hearing about Kansas City and Buffalo is LeBron and Toronto.
Yeah, that's I can see that as well.
It's like, dang, oh man, like what else do you have to do?
I know. It makes you think, what if Dalton Kincaid made the catch? What would have happened? But there's still a lot that could have still happened in that game, and then that still wouldn't even won them the game either way.
Question is, what was James Cook not doing on the field in the fourth quarter?
That's a good
Somebody
question.
brought to my attention today, and I actually went and looked at it when I got out of work, and I was like,
Makes you scratch your head a little bit.
very
Makes you scratch your head.
a smart thing to do.
No,
Not at all.
I guess at that point they kind of just thought that they had to like kind of willfully put it on Josh Allen and depend on his arm and his abilities.
Josh Allen? There's no disrespect. The fake MVP?
Yeah,
No. That's like sitting Saquon in the fourth.
I know. It's a no-no.
His head would be served on a steak.
No, I agree, especially when the game is still like within reach like that.
Like it's not like they're not the same caliber player. Don't get me wrong.
And plus, on top of that, James Cook had a big touchdown on 4th down, like where he had to stretch out and get that.
What they Kyle Brandt, angry run.
Right.
That man was not as angry as Saquon Barkley, but
He wasn't going to be stopped. But James Cook, like, you can't take out Jimbo, bro. Jimbo's a big part of your offense, man.
Shame. They're trying to use this running back by committee over there. Like,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Let you eat.
No,
That's
like
it.
I'm saying, he's a feature back. You have to leave him in the game and let him cook. That's what he does.
You can't get a rhythm. You can't get momentum. Then what are you doing?
No, I agree. I think Sean McDermott and Joe Brady over there, they kind of dropped the ball a little bit on that one.
You have a name for Buffalo.
What's that?
But they need T. Higgins.
Possibly. But this is the thing, too. I mean, like, the way this is, too, I mean, they dished out Stephon, they got rid of Stephon Diggs, and they let Josh Allen have more liberty with his receivers now, and then you have Matt Collins being his receiving touchdown getter. You have Amari Cooper there, maybe getting, like, 1 or 2 catches now, and he was supposed to be that guy that was going to be the main target, and didn't really show up like that. Shakir's been his favorite target, and we can understand he's a little shifty slot receiver. But other than that, I mean, he throws the ball to Keon Coleman here and there, and he just, it's just a really receiver by committee. And it's almost like Kansas City, too, like right now. What they have set up, it's definitely not what they're used to having in a couple years, especially when we played them in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. It's definitely a different type of matchup now, like with a poor man's DeAndre Hopkins, Juju Smith-Schuster coming out there and making plays because he's actually somewhat healthy. And then you have Xavier Worthy. So, like, this receiver by committee, like, I don't know if it's going to be good enough to match up with what we have, especially since we have, multiple depth at corner and everything going on here. So
Yeah, because, like I said, Slate has turned back the clock this postseason.
Yes, he has. He's looking like a number 1 corner again.
But, like you're talking about the betting lines. I favor us, obviously.
Right.
I always feel the champions are going to be slight favorites until they're beat.
Yeah, that's true, too.
And I like us in that position.
I like us as underdogs coming in, too. But also, too, I also kind of feel it's, like, disrespectful because of the way the Chiefs have been playing most of the year. They haven't really shown that they've been a champion. They've just been getting by. Every game has been getting by. And I would even say if they were to beat us, which I don't think they will, but I'm just saying if they were to beat us, then it's just going to be another scenario where they get by. And there's going to be some controversy with it that comes by that, too. So,
Well, I got a nice comparison for you.
Yes.
Position by position breakdown, if you look at it, it reminds me of our matchup in the 2017-2018 Super Bowl.
with the Patriots.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like we position for position, I think we have the edge, except 2 main ones, and that was quarterback.
Right.
Right in. It's giving me those vibes.
Okay, I can see that. But you're right. If you go down the line, our offensive line is better. Running back, we got it. Receivers, and actually, I would say you hit the nail on the head on that one. Actually,
That one just came to me. I was thinking about it because it was like one of those things. I was just watching an old video, and it was like, yeah, position for position, I think we're better than them across the board.
right?
But when you have Mahomes, you never know.
No, you don't. You never know. So
I want to beat them back anybody.
I know. I really just want to blast him. I mean, like I said, Buffalo was getting to him a little bit last week. I just really want to, rattle him and shake him off his boots, make him feel uncomfortable because that's what they did with Tom Brady. That's what it ended up coming down to. So
Yeah,
especially if the
And
game's
I'm going to
close.
comment about our boy Jalen Carter. He said my replacement for dominant D tackle in the NFL has arrived.
There you go. I mean, it's been set in stone. He's been dominant. I mean, if you even look at the statistics, he has in this postseason so far, he has like 20 pressures on the quarterback, which is almost Chris Jones and Aaron Donald type of level, type of stuff. So he's wreaking havoc, and everyone's paying attention.
But back to Kansas City, Buffalo.
Yeah.
It has to be heart wrenching to lose to them again.
Right.
Because you beat them in the regular season. Like, everybody's making a big deal. Oh, Buffalo beat Kansas City in the regular season.
Right.
The regular season, you think it matters, but it doesn't.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
When the lights are brightest, when it goes down, what are you going to do?
Exactly, and that's what really matters. Like, and
got exposed a little bit.
They did, and this is where they've been. And honestly, even if they were to lose to Baltimore, I think Baltimore would have been through kind of the same process they did and not pull it off. Honestly, I think it just what it would have led to. But now where we are now. So, other than us being underdogs, in a crazy world where we don't believe, but if the Chiefs were to go three-peat, what do you think that would mean for the NFL and everything involved?
The whole conversation would be as loud as it's ever been, probably.
Yeah.
The team would be immortalized because they've stayed together for the most part.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I ain't here for that.
No, I'm not either.
I'm not here for that.
This is the notion that I am here for. I am here for us, right? Beating them, stopping them from getting their three-peat, and us, even though with our 2 Super Bowl wins, beating the 2 best quarterbacks of all time, I think that puts our resume a little bit higher than some other teams out there. So, just something to consider.
100%. I mean, the Chiefs three-peat, it sounds good to people that aren't with us.
Exactly.
I'm not here for that noise.
But for the most part, I think most of the NFL is tired of the Chiefs. They're tired of seeing Taylor Swift. They're tired of seeing the referees help them out. They're tired of seeing the same old story with the Chiefs. They need something new, honestly. And maybe this could be the end of the Chiefs. I'm not saying at the overall end, but maybe the end of their dynasty if we can just stop them now and solidify ourselves and put ourselves there. I mean, we were there. Honestly, if we really were to look at it, we should have won the other one, honestly. If it wasn't for things that stepped in that we weren't able to control, maybe things would have been different, but it went that way, and we have to accept it. But this is the revenge that we have to get, you know what I mean? So I think Sirianni and everybody on board will definitely try and put their best performance out there so we can bring it back home and go to the parade.
Well, here's the thing. I think Sirianni learned from the Super Bowl loss.
Yeah.
I think he has evolved as a coach and a leader throughout the course of the season.
For sure.
I remember after the Tampa Bay loss, we were here screaming for his head.
I know. And
now what has transpired, I don't want nobody else.
Exactly. I'll let him ride out. And honestly, if we really look at it, he might be the best coach we ever had. I mean, to have this type of production, his record speaks for itself. Yeah, we know. We know.
What we are.
Right, exactly. I mean, he does embody what we are as fans too, just being boisterous and vocal about certain things, being passionate about what we want and what we believe in, and that's a big part of it. Now you can really see the team really does endure and they love him. They really do. They play hard for him and they really have his back, and it's really cool to see because it's like everything as a collective unit is really working.
I think that starts with his relationship with the quarterback.
Yes. There's a trust factor.
Last year it looked strained.
It did.
But now, my MVP, Saquon Barkley, well, he can be looked at possibly, I don't know what's in the locker room.
Right.
He could be looked at as potentially the bridge or the glue that might have brought them back together, brought them back to the table.
That's true, too. He definitely is, like, his play and everything, what he's been doing consistently on a week-to-week basis, and just being a great overall teammate. You know what I mean? That's what the biggest thing.
Look what he did for Shipley after he scored.
I know. He was the first guy to go run over there and hug him.
Almost before the offensive linemen were.
I know, and that just goes to show his relationship with him, and then that could also be a budding mentorship for Will Shipley in the future too, which is definitely something we could keep an eye on because Will Shipley had a really good game in that championship game.
Yeah, he should have scored on that long run, but we'll talk about that later.
It's okay.
But the end result was still what we wanted. He
Absolutely.
scored.
I mean, dude, we put up the most points ever in a championship game. We've in our last 3 championship games since 2017, we've outscored opponents 121-37. So it's just like we've been running shit. This isn't no Andy Reid team anymore. Like this is a new type of Philly regime with Howie Roseman there.
We're stepping on your throat.
Yeah, that's exactly.
We're not taking the foot off the gas.
Exactly. So stop putting shit on the Rocky statues. You guys got to learn that's just the omen.
I'm on Chiefs fans. I know you're down there in your South Philly bar.
Yeah.
There's a Chiefs only bar down there. Throw a Kelsey jersey over there. Dude, give me something.
Exactly.
Give me some locker material.
Or go take over the Hard Rock Cafe on a Saturday night because nobody's really over there.
It's really there. I mean, you get the Philly Farmers Market right next door. Like, no. The answer's no.
No, they weren't going to get in there. But overall, I mean, it should be an exciting Super Bowl. We're going to run it down in NOLA, and then hopefully we get to party and celebrate afterwards, man.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, I'm not going to talk too much because we still are playing the reigning defending 2-time champions.
Yeah.
Not going to be easy.
No.
By any means.
No, it's not.
I want to beat the piss out of them.
I do too, and
I understand.
I know, honestly. I mean, like most of America, they do. Like a lot of people have feelings about the Eagles fans or whatever, but like I think most of America would want us to see us beat them, and get this whole Taylor Swift, Patrick Mahomes, and everything else out the window. I just want to toss it out.
I give you some luck. Taylor Swift doesn't even get on my nerves.
Who's
Brittany Mahomes gets on my nerves more than Taylor Swift.
I agree too. I mean, she's annoying too. I'm just tired of seeing all these faces. I think we need some new change, and I think we need a breath of fresh air, and we could be the team that bring that. Honestly.
Right, and I know this wasn't the people's choice for Super Bowl matchup, but I think it's gonna be a hell of a game. But I just want to beat the piss out of them. I don't care. Go Birds. I don't care.
Go Birds. That's really what we're gonna leave it at. We'll leave it at that. But all right, Jay, I appreciate you coming on and talking some birds with me, and
Always.
we'll chop it up next week, and then we'll see what we can talk about more in terms of the Super Bowl and some matchups coming up. And well, look who we have here. The return of CarlitosWayWorldTV. How you doing, Carlitos?
What's up, Joffey? Nothing, chilling on my weekend. I like to consider it my Saturday night. You know what I mean?
For some of us, it's Friday night, but
There you
also
go.
enjoying the weekend as well. But Carlitos, you know why you're here. We're here to square up and have
Exactly.
you take the floor. So there's some things coming up and some other things that just happened. So I'm gonna let
Yeah.
you take the floor and run it. Go right ahead.
All right, guys. What's up? It's your boy Carlitos with World TV. We're going to talk about fights that happened in the past weekend. Fights that actually caught my eye, something different. I was, on Friday night, Friday night we had boxing. We had Inoue, Japan fighter, featherweight title holder. He was fighting somebody last minute, replacement. I forget who was the original fighter he was supposed to fight, but he knocked the guy out. If anyone knows Inoue, he's a Japan fighter. He's kicking ass. 10 knockout streak. He's on a knockout streak, basically. He's on a winning streak. And to sum it up, he's been fighting all his fights in Japan. His next fight will be in the USA. And then Saturday night, we had bare knuckle fight. We had KnuckleMania 5 in Philadelphia, record breaking, 17,000, well, almost 18,000 seats or whatever, sold more than boxing and MMA in Philadelphia. So bare knuckle fighting, it's here to stay. I was watching this my first time. Saturday night was my first time watching the bare knuckle fight, and it was pretty entertaining. And I will definitely watch it again. I'll watch it. I like it better than MMA, in my opinion. It's entertaining. It's just like boxing without the gloves. It's like 3 2-minute rounds, 5 rounds, just all knuckles. And then they had a fight Saturday night, Joe. Like I said, 18,000 people in Philadelphia, the Wells Fargo Center, whatever.
Yep.
They had a fight there, and a few fights. Main event was some dude that used to fight in the UFC, some dude named Eddie Alvarez or something like that.
Yes.
It was Stephens versus Alvarez. I think it was ended by KO. Alvarez lost. I think everybody wanted to see Eddie win on that fight, but he was not the underdog, I guess, but everybody wanted to see him win, but he lost. He got knocked out or whatever. And there was like 12 fights in that whole undercard or that event, and most of that was all knockouts. So it was like 8 knockouts, 11, like 12, 8 fights, 8 knockouts. Had 1 title fight, 1 heavyweight fight. They had like a DQ or whatever, and I mean, my favorite fight from that event was Thompson versus Pennell.
Uh-huh.
That was a good fight. I liked it. I think it ended in the second round knockout. But like I said, I caught that in the zone. If anybody wanted to see something different, knockouts or whatever, like combat sports, check out knuckle fights, whatever, bare knuckle fights.
Bare knuckle
and then
fighting,
boxing. Yeah, bare knuckle fighting. Anyways,
McGregor was there too, right?
It was bare knuckle Mania 5.
Right, but McGregor was there helping promote the thing.
Yeah,
right?
McGregor was there. To help. He was there to help to promote. And there was like rumors he might debut for the next KnuckleMania. I'm not sure, but even though he has an injury, he's like a leg injury, or whatever. But there's rumors that he might debut in that bare knuckle, which would be cool. He does have the hands on the ground. He has the hands, whatever.
Yeah.
Hand game. I don't know about his ground game, but his hands are pretty good when it comes to UFC. And then for boxing on the zone, all these fights were basically on the zone except for the Inoue fight. That's like a top ranked thing. But on Saturday we had the zone boxing also. They had the main event was Diego Panchenko versus Steven Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
I was going for Panchenko. Panchenko's he's coming from the Robert Garcia boxing stable, and Steve Nelson is from the Crawford stable. You want to say Crawford with his trainer Big Mac, and
at Omaha.
So it was it was a middleweight fight, I believe. title fight. This guy, Pachenko, he's undefeated. Young kid, 23. The Steve Nelson dude, he's old. He was undefeated too. So it was two undefeated guys. Pretty sure we're both undefeated. And they were just, two guys fighting in their primes, which is what we want, the fans want. They want fighters to fight in their primes. Good fight for Pachenko. Bright future. Has plenty of fights. He could, he's still young. Also, there was another thing I liked. There was another undercard fight. Some dude named Marsado. I don't know how you pronounce his name. But it was, I don't even know. Two Spanish dudes basically fighting.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a robbery, okay? This fight was a robbery, in my opinion. They had this dude from Robert Garcia's card. I mean, Robert Garcia's
camp.
Yeah, that was a bad call. They had it split decision, I believe, for that dude, but kid was getting his ass whooped. But yeah, and for the Diego Pachenko, I mean, his trainer is not Robert Garcia. His trainer is from Benavides. His Benavides is trainer.
Okay.
But anyways, speaking about Benavides, for February 1st, we got Benavides versus David Morrell.
Yes.
Cuban fighter, two undefeated fighters. February 1st. It's on my birthday. Got the day off on that. Who I'm going for? I like to see David Morrell because I like the underdogs to win, but it seems like Benavides, he has experience and bright lights. His resume is better. He fought better guys than the Cuban fighter.
Yeah.
But this guy, what they say about Cuban fighters, there's skill. This guy's a former Olympian, and he fights on this weight class. And David Benavides is pretty new in this new weight class that he's fighting in. I think this might be his second fight in this weight class that he's fighting in. I believe it's light heavyweight or whatever.
This is for the interim belt, right?
It's some type of belt. It's like I think David Benavides is like two belts, and this guy has like one belt. So
yeah,
they're basically fighting for like 2-3 belts.
Okay.
So it should be a good fight.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, David Morrell, I like to see win, but just to put money on somebody, it's probably be David Benavides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it, guys. So
go ahead.
Those are the guys. Those are the guys. That's the guy I'm picking for Saturday night, and we can talk more boxing on my channel. Anyone got any comments? Type below in Joe's comment section. Have any questions about boxing? Like I said, comment below on his channel. On my channel, if you have anything, questions, I got boxing, wrestling, video games, all that shit on CarlitosWayWorldTV. Thank you guys for tuning in. Your boy's out.
All right, Carlitos. I appreciate you coming on and squaring up and dropping your boxing prowess all over the floor.
Yes, Captain.
All right. Thank you again, my friend.